studio. I love getting in early, having my little sewing area to myself. So today I'm gonna be sewing the Dolly dress by Caroline Hunsholt. And it's this really cute oversized dress with a bow. I have my base fabric cut already, so it's gonna be cheetah print and then black for the lining. I can't remember if I had enough fabric for sleeves too. I think I did. I cut this a long time ago because I cut it right when I got it. I wanted it to be cheetah print, but the only cheetah print I could find at the store was like pre-cut, kind of like a remnant off a bolt. So I cut it right away to make sure that there was enough to make the dress. And I remember being like, yeah, this is enough, but I can't remember if it was just enough for the body. And I was like, oh, but it'll be cute with like black sleeves coming off of like a cheetah body, or if there was enough for the sleeves too. So stay tuned. I still need to cut all my lining and the bow, and there's a collar on it as well. So I have a bit of work to get on with. Going to finish this dress today, okay? That is the goal. I honestly, like, the clip that I have of me talking about this dress is weeks, if not months ago at this point, because it's been going a little rough, okay? The pattern is great. I actually really like the detail of the pattern. There's little illustrations and like every step is written out. I'm finding it easy to follow the instructions, but I feel like I kind of fucked myself over a bit with my fabric choice. So obviously I love the cheetah, but it's this like very, I don't know what you would call this, but it's a very like thin fabric, so you can kind of like see through it when I pull it away from the lining. And I'm lining it with a black cotton that is obviously much thicker than the rest of it. So things have not been laying exactly the way that I would like, and that's definitely on me, but it's like what I had on hand. Didn't think it would be such an issue. So I have the body of the dress, and what is especially causing me some anguish is the bottom, because I just knew that if I did a basic hem going all around, that this fabric was gonna like, you know, scrunch up around the thread and just not look very nice. So then I was like, let's do a bubble hem, pull it underneath, make it look, you know, like it's meant to be kind of gathered and puffy down there. But this is all one piece of fabric, so I already attached, you know, the sleeves and everything, did the neckline, which means that it's kind of too late to do a bubble hem, because I should have done that before I like, so I can turn it inside out and flip it out and attach stuff at the top. So I didn't think of that idea soon enough, and now it's looking like I might need to do it by hand underneath to kind of get the effect that I want. So that's why I've been avoiding it, because that's gonna be a pain in the ass. But we'll see. I'm like set on finishing this today because I really don't have that much left. Like I need to finish off the sleeves and add the neckline. But other than that, it is just figuring out what I'm gonna do with the hem. And I wanna wear this. I've had the fabric for months. I've wanted to wear it for months. So it's time to like get it done. And I've been very proud because I've been very professional so far. Like I've been ironing, I've been serging on my edges. I've just been like following the pattern very professionally. I feel like usually I cut some more corners with my sewing than I've been, because I really wanted this to like look nice, and it's just not going the way that I wanted it to. So we'll see if I cut some corners to finish off the hem here. I mean, it's gonna be on the inside, no one will see it but me, but I will be disappointed because I feel like lately I've been very good about having my insides look just as good as my outsides, which is like, I guess, who cares? But I like feeling like I put, you know, the work and the dedication into doing it the right way. My hope is that I get it finished off and it is like cute enough and I feel like it was all worth it. But I'm gonna be honest, this video that you're watching was meant to come out like maybe a month ago, because I thought this dress would be done way sooner. So we've been in a bit of a battle, but here we are. Let's get her done. so dramatic, all that complaining, and it only took me a morning to finish off everything I had to do with the dress, including hand sewing the bottom, which I actually love how it turned out. I feel like it lays exactly how I wanted it to. I'm not going to show you what I did in there because it's not super pretty, but the effect was achieved. Love the pop of red with the bow, and I love my red accessories, so I'm going to have a ton of fun matching those up. Plus the dress is so comfy, so it's going to get a ton of wear for me. Let's move on to a little boxer shorts tutorial. These are all over the place, and I'm pretty proud to have figured out how to self-draft them because I don't usually do pants, but it's actually pretty simple. So I'm going to do a little quick fire tutorial on how I did this. To make my pattern pieces, I used an old pair of shorts that I had and liked the fit of, and I adjusted them just a bit, which I'll show how I did. So the first step was to find the back seam here, so that goes all the way from the crotch to the top of the waistband, making sure that you can see that entire curve. So I made sure that all laid nicely and then laid it across my fabric at the angle that I wanted to cut it on. These are quite short pajama shorts, so I wanted to add some inseam. I did that by measuring the length that I wanted and then putting a ruler down with that length from the edge of the fabric and moving that back seam up to match it and drawing a line straight down here for how long I wanted the shorts to be. I also wanted my boxer shorts to be a bit baggy, so I added about 2-ish inches to the side, and this is going to make them a bit baggier. So instead of lining up that left-hand side with the edge of the fabric, I pulled them about 2 inches away from that edge of the fabric, just made sure that everything was still in the proper place before drawing lines and seam allowance around the entire thing and cutting it out. So I drew a line along this curved back seam, then across the waistband, and then from the inseam down. The other 2 lines are just made by the edge of the fabric, so that left and bottom edge of the fabric, we already measured where we want those to be. I get so nervous when self-drafting things, so before I cut anything out, I just made sure that this was in fact going to fit, so by measuring the hips and the waist to make sure that if I multiply those by 4, they are definitely going to fit around my waist and hip measurements. Everything checked out, so I got cutting, and this became my first base pattern piece. I cut out an identical one. My fabric is the same on both sides, but if you're following along and using fabric that has a right side and a wrong side, make sure that you do these on opposite sides. Cut that out, and these 2 pieces are going to make the back of the shorts, and then there's just a slight adjustment to make for the 2 front short pieces that I'll show here. So basically you have less going on the front of you than on the back of you, so we don't need quite as big of a curve on these pattern pieces. Excuse me while I talk about crotches some more. Please someone let me know if there's a more elegant way to talk about this, but basically I'm folding my shorts in half again on the front seam, but using the entirety of the back seams. You should see that there's some extra fabric here where you can see this line that separates it. You're going to measure how much that is, and that's how much we're going to take off of our pattern piece to make the front pieces. So working with the end of that curve at the inseam area here, I just took that measurement and folded this piece back that much so that it was the right size, and I pinned it in place, and I'm going to use this as a template to cut out 2 more pattern pieces. So again, I'm using fabric that is the same on both sides, so I just put it down and cut out 2, but if you're using fabric that has different sides, you're going to want to make sure that they can face each other. So that was 4 main body pieces, 2 for the front, 2 for the back, and now it's time to measure the waistband. So I measured the top of my body piece and multiplied it by 2. I'm going to cut 2 waistband pieces this length, and the width of this depends on what size elastic you're using. I cut 3.5 inch width so that when I fold it in half and take off seam allowance, blah, 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 it will be approximately a 1-inch waistband. Quick rundown of all these pattern pieces. There should be 2 front pieces, 2 back pieces, 2 waistband pieces. I also cut lining for both my front and back pieces. First, I sewed down the sides, so I put 1 front piece and 1 back piece, good sides, together and matched them up. Since one of the curves is a bit deeper, it has to be pulled back in order to match that side up, but the other one should match up perfectly. So I just pulled that back, pinned it in place, and then also pinned the left side down here as well. And this should be right sides together, 1 front piece and 1 back piece. And I went to sew down both of these pinned edges, so the side of the shorts and the inseam. I did the same thing to my other front and back pieces. So we've got 2 sides of the shorts going here, headed to the sewing machine, sewing down each side and inseam. You can see here that I have finished off my edges. How nice. I turned one of these sewn pieces completely right side out and then inserted it into the other piece. So this means good sides are together and one side of the shorts is completely inside the other. This is how I sewed the back and front seams together. So these pattern pieces should be matched up, make sure the seams are matched up, and then I sewed up these entire curved edges here for the front and back seams. So I grabbed pins and inserted those, again making sure that the seams are all beautifully matched up along each side, and then sewed down and around the entire crotch seam, basically crotches yet again. Pulled that all right side out and it's starting to look a bit like shorts. So I took this chance to serge some edges, get that all finished off, and then try my shorts on to make sure everything's going well if I wanted to make any final adjustments. And I did. I realized that I had made them way too long in the waist. I liked the length, I liked the bagginess, everything was good. It was just that waist length measurement. So I pinned in place where I wanted my hem to sit so that I had the right length of the shorts, and then pulled over what I wanted the waist to look like so I could measure how much that was. And I just went and chopped that completely off. So I measured that from the top, cut that much off. It worked pretty well because I was using gingham, so the lines were straight, and then went to put my waistband on. Grabbed my 2 waistband pieces, pinned them on the 2 short edges, and then went to sew them down on either edge. So this made 1 big loop for the waistband. Then to attach it to the rest of the shorts, I matched up either seam on the waistband with the seam on the shorts, like so. I pinned the seams in place first so that I had the waistband in place, and then to create the tube for the elastic, folded the waistband up so that both edges matched up on the edge of the shorts, and pinned the entire thing in place all the way around, then went to sew all the way around but left a bit of an opening so that I could insert the elastic there. The size of this opening depends on the size of your elastic, but usually about 2 inches is a good bet. Here's mine. So to measure my elastic, I just measured out the length of my waist with no stretch because we wanted to stretch past that over the hips. Then attach that elastic to a safety pin and use that to feed the elastic through the entire tube of the waistband. Then I put one end over the other and sewed a square over those. That just worked best for how thick my elastic was. Pulled it all the way into the waistband and then just did a quick top stitch to close that whole opening there. The last step was to do a basic hem on each of the leg openings, and I had already serged my edges, so I just had to fold up once and sew around. But if you're following along and didn't serge, you can also fold over a second time to hide any raw edges. So I sewed around the entire openings here to finish those off, and voila, a whole pair of shorts. I'm doing this voiceover a few weeks after I made these, and I can confirm that they very quickly became probably the most worn piece of clothing in my closet. They are so comfy and just perfect for summer. So I'm definitely going to be making more now that I have the pattern pieces all figured out. And I will say, improvement for the future, I want to add some pockets, which is a pretty easy thing to do, but I didn't think of it on the day and was feeling too lazy to think of like add-ons. But I think the bagginess of those, there's definitely room for them, and I would love to try it out. I have a fun little morning in the studio making scrunchies out of my scrap fabric that I have from all the sewing projects I've been doing in this video. So I have some good combos here, and I had a lot of fun picking out the lace, which is the fun part. Check out how gorgeous this is. So that's just going to be with some leftover black fabric as the base, and then a more casual black one with this lace here. I made one like this, but I have this super thick lace so that I just kind of fold it over itself instead of like needing a base piece, and I love how frilly that gets. So I'll make another one of those, and I already have a few, so maybe I'll keep it to give as a gift or something. So I'm making the pattern that I never freaking shut up about, which is the Material Girls Scrunchie pattern, which is in the Q1 2024 issue of the magazine. I'll link both the print and the video tutorial down below, but there are 2 different kinds of scrunchies to do. So I'm gonna do one that instead of putting lace on it, you serge the edges and it makes like a double flap. I'll show you what that looks like, but this is gonna have like white serged edges instead of lace. But of course I also need a gingham one that has lace. So I have this pretty one here, and that's gonna be the other scrunchie pattern that you put lace into. And then lastly, we'll see how this goes. I think this will be a cute combo though. I have some cheetah fabric with red lace. Cheetah fabric is so thin that I am gonna line it with black as well, just so it has a little bit more structure. This is kind of like the experiment of the day, but this pattern goes so fast, it takes like 10 minutes to make one. And then we'll see how I'm feeling. I hate zippers, but if I feel like I have the gumption for it today, I wanna insert a zipper into this skirt, which is gorgeous, and I got it a long time ago actually at a charity shop. It kind of reminded me of like Sandy Liang because it has a more fitted top and then it really flares up at the bottom, and then has this cute blue like binding at the bottom. But there's only one, but there's this big gap, so there's only one button here, and then there's just like nothing to hold this closed on your side. And I think I have a black zipper that's like the exact right length. So I might insert that so I can finally start using it. this point, I honestly feel naked if I go out without one of these scrunchies on. It just doesn't quite feel right, you know? I built up quite the collection. I love matching different fabric straps with different trims. Such a fun pattern. So definitely we'll be making more of these. I also wanted to give an update on my skirt, which I did, in fact, get the patience and put in the zipper. I need to stop being so dramatic because, again, it took like 10 minutes, and this is one of my favorite skirts now. I'm so, so excited to wear it all summer. But that's all I've got for you today. Let me know if you sew one of these projects. I'd love to see it. And other than that, I will be back next week with a vlog, so make sure to subscribe. Bye!